Hello everyone. In this video lecture, we are going to study the mutation theory of evolution. We have already seen the two theories, the theory of Lamarck, theory of inheritance of acquired characters, and the Darwin's theory of natural selection. This is the third theory, the mutation theory of evolution. This was given by Hugo de Vries. This is the name of the scientist, and his span was 1848 to 1935. He gave this theory in 1901. He is the same scientist who rediscovered the Mendel's work on genetics. Hugo de Vries, Schermak, and Correns were the three people who rediscovered the Mendel's work, that is, the laws of inheritance, and he later gave this theory which is based on mutation. He did not agree with what Darwin said and Lamarck said. He studied all his experiments on one plant known as evening primrose. The scientific name is Oenothera lamarckiana. He chose this plant because this plant was abundantly found as a garden plant near his house. So Hugo de Vries did all his experiments on this particular plant called as evening primrose. Now, the diploid number of this plant 2n is 14. That means the chromosomes are 14 in number. When Hugo de Vries started experimenting, he took the plants and he took one of the plant and self-fertilized it. This process is also known as selfing. When he did this process, he found that in the F1 generation, there were two kinds of plants. One which were very similar to the parents, that means the parental chromosomal number was inherited, that is 14 chromosomes were inherited, but there were, and these were majority, that means major number of the plants were normal, but there were very few which were variant. That means the variation could be seen in this new variety. And what happened actually? The number of chromosomes increased. That means it was 16, and when he later did the experiment again with using this plant, then again majority of the plants inherited the number 16, but then the new variety got 20, and then again when he experimented 22, 24, 28, 30, and in this how the 2n number, the number of chromosomes each time was increasing. So this is how he found that each time the chromosomes are increasing in number. This is what is he called as mutation. What is mutation? We know mutation is actually the change in the genetic material, genetic makeup of an organism. So he found each time that the chromosomal number is increasing, he called it as mutation, and he said that this is the base on which evolution is taking place. He even called the new type of plant which was ever increasing in the chromosomal number as Oenothera gigaris. Let us now see the salient features of the theory. The first thing that he said was mutations are sudden and inheritable. This is not a slow process. This process in which mutation, a new organism is developed after mutation, the process is very sudden. It takes place in no time. Mutations appear in large number of individuals at the same time. That means there is not only one individual which gets affected. There can be more than one individual. That is, a large number of individuals may be affected by mutations at the same time. Then mutations are recurring. If one individual has undergone mutation, that doesn't mean that there will be no mutation in the future. That individual may suffer from mutations again and again, and therefore the mutations are recurring in an individual. Mutations appear again and again in the body of the individual. So thereby this is increasing the chance of selection by the nature. If mutation continuously is seen in an organism again and again, that means the nature has selected that individual, and therefore these mutations will accumulate and will give rise to a new species. Mutations may lead to gain or loss of any character. Now we know that the characters are ruled by genes, and since mutations are taking place in the genetic material, the genes may get altered, the sequence may get altered. This may result in either gain or the loss of any particular character. And mutations are random and directionless. That means they are very different from what Darwin said. Darwin said that the variations were very small and they were directional. So he called them as variations. So this is very different from what Darwin said, and that is the base between mutation theory of evolution, the difference between mutation theory of evolution and Darwin's theory of evolution. Mutations are random. They can take place in any direction and at any time. It does not have a particular sequence, and they can be large and sudden. However, Darwin said that they are continuous, that means, and they are very slow, and they are in a fixed direction from the parents to the progeny. However, the mutations can be directionless. It can be progressive, that means from the parent to the progeny, or it can be retrogressive. It can be in the reverse direction also. So these are the salient features of mutation theory. Now let us see all the points which goes in favor of mutation theory. Ankon sheep. Now sheep or goat, they have a normal height, but this Ankon sheep have remarkably small legs. So this was a variation which was seen after the sheep reproduced. There was a herd, and when continuously the sheep were reproducing, a particular variety came which was named as Ankon sheep, which had remarkably small legs. So this goes in favor of mutation theory, because there was nothing which was added, but automatically there was some variation which was seen in the same gene pool. The same sheep which was present in the herd, they were only mating and reproducing, but in one generation the Ankon sheep was seen. So this is a variation with the very small legs. Now the owners were favored with the Ankon sheep because they could not actually cross the boundaries. The sheep which were taller could easily cross the boundaries, and the owners of these herd were sometimes finding difficulty to bring the sheep back. But Ankon sheep were very small, and the feet was very small, and therefore they could not jump off the boundary, and this was a favorable thing for the owners. So this goes in favor of mutation theory. Now second one, hairless cats. They are not totally hairless, but then they have very less, the length of the hair is small. So we see that most of the cats are having good length of the hair, but normally the black cats, after reproducing, the next generation was having very less length in the hair. They looked very smooth, so their name came out to be as hairless cats. This was also mutation. We see both type of cats, cats with long hair and those which are having short hair are called as hairless cats. This is also a result of mutation. Then there is polyploidy. What is polyploidy? Ploid refers to the number of chromosomes and poly means many. So polyploidy is usually seen in plants. That means this is an increase in the number of chromosomes in sets. So this cannot take place in human beings or in animals, because if you consider one ovum, and if one ovum is fertilized by two sperms, then what will happen? The two sperms will make the ovum triploid. That means it will not be diploid. However, we know that the ovum and the sperm will fuse together to regain the diploid number. But then if two sperms fuse, so it will be a triploid, and then the general process of the embryonic development and the cleavage process will not take place normally, and it will not sustain, it will die. But this is seen very well in plants. So this is actually the increase in the number of chromosomes in sets. So we call this also as mutation. So polyploidy, this all goes in favor of mutation theory. Now let us see certain points which goes against the mutation theory, that is the criticism of mutation theory. So the very first criticism was the plant that Hugo de Reyes chose, Oenothera lamarckiana, the evening primrose, usually does not self-fertilize. This is because of the position of the stamens and the carpels. The stamen is the male reproductive part of the flower and the carpel as the female reproductive part of the flower. So they are not positioned in such a manner that self-fertilization takes place. So this is by cross-fertilization, and the plants which are formed are hybrids. So usually the self-fertilization process does not take place naturally. Therefore this goes against, because this was intentionally done by Hugo de Reyes and then he was selfing the plants. But this does not take place naturally or in the real manner. Therefore the number of chromosomes which were in the next generation differing, that means the frequency will be very less. Therefore this was not taken into account. The second criticism is that mutations which were called as such by Hugo de Reyes were named as chromosomal aberrations. Today we know chromosomal aberrations. So these were not actually mutations. We know that these are point mutations. There can be point mutations also. We call them as chromosomal aberrations, and therefore this was not taken much into account. If there is a very big variation, if there is a sudden jump in which there is a large mutation, that process is known as saltation. So saltation is also known as macrogenesis. So what is saltation or macrogenesis? This is a single step large mutation which makes the new species. Although mutation serves to be the raw material for evolution, but there were certain things like saltation or macrogenesis which could bring a new species to evolve from the previous one. So how does evolution take place? When we compare the two gene pools, the previous one and the final one. So when there is a marked difference due to saltation, then only the new species arise. However, this was chromosomal aberrations which was seen. This was against the mutation theory, which we call as criticism. Till date, the debate on the origin of species is going on, whether it is by gradual variations by Darwin or by mutations, and therefore the debate has still not ended. And the new theory, which is the modern theory or the synthetic theory, which is the most approved theory of evolution, which I'll be dealing in my next video, that is a combination of all the theories. So we will be looking into it in my next video. If you have any doubt in this mutation theory, you may ask me in the comment section, and you may even see the questions given in the description box. Thank you.